In this video, we will learn about break and continue statements in the while loop. It can be used in both loops, for loop and while loop. So the break and continue statements can be learned through example. So here I am going to take a variable I and I'm assigning its value 1, and then I'm going to use the while loop here and giving the condition true, which means that the condition of inside the while loop becomes true, then it will continue, the loop will continue until then. So now I am going to use the if statement. I'm going to give the condition as I modulus of 17 equal to 0. So this means it will start from 1 and the iteration will continue till 17, and this means when I divided by 17 and the remainder equal to 0, so the remainder will only become 0 when it is divided by 17. So here I'm going to give the body of if statement, that is print break. So when the remainder becomes 0, it will print break, and to break the statement we are using the break statement. To break the loop we are using the break statement. So actually until here it will print. After this the loop will terminate, so it will come outside the loop. So if it doesn't break, we are going to give an else part to the if condition, if statement, that is else I equal to I plus 1. So after the first iteration 1 will be added, it becomes 2, and then it will return and it will check the condition. If that condition is false, it will again come to the else part and check, then 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, and it will again check the condition, that is I modulus of 17, 2 modulus of 17 is not equal to 0, then again 3 modulus of 17 not equal to 0. It will come until it reaches 17 modulus of 17 equal to 0. So here I am going to use the continue statement. Here the continue statement is used to skip the rest of the code inside a loop for the current iteration only. So when it reaches here, it will just skip this part. It will not consider, it will not come outside. It will again continue to the next. It will just skip the rest of the code inside the loop. So here I'm going to give the print that is outside the else block. So here it is inside the while loop. So print I am inside the loop, and after this outside the while loop I'm going to print done. So here the continuous statement is used to skip the rest of the code, and rest of the code inside the loop. It is just for the current iteration only. So it will, when it will allows the second iteration to happen, then again the third, until it breaks. And the loop does not terminate in continuous statement, but it just continues on with the next iteration. That is what the use of a continuous statement. So I'll explain once again. The continuous statement is used to skip the rest of the code inside the loop for the current iteration only, and the loop does not terminate but continues on with the next iteration. So let's check out the output of this program. To get the output, I'm going to use Shift plus Enter, or you can use just click on the Run button. So here, break and done. So let's check what happens with the code. So here I should have included this print function inside the else part for it to print. Otherwise, it's actually outside the else block. That's why it doesn't print anything. So let's add it inside the else block. So it will just continue. It just ignores the rest of the code. That's what the function of continuous statement is. To ignore the rest of the code. It just ignore the code. And once it reaches the 17, it's just print break. So here I am going to print I. So it will print at what iteration it stops. Here you can see it reaches up to 17. Since here I gave I is equal to I plus 1, after the first, when the first iteration comes, it will be assigned as 2. So I am just going to cut this print I and paste it here, just right after the else block. Now you can see the magic. Yes, this is what happens. When I iteration first I inside the while loop, it checks whether it is when divided by 17, the remainder is 0 and the remainder is not 0, so it does not execute the break statement. So it instead comes to the else part and then it prints the I, that is 1, and then it goes on incrementing, that is I is equal to I plus 1. So next one is 2. So the continuous statement will ignore the rest of the code here and it will come again. So here it checks inside the while loop the condition 2 divided by 17, the remainder is not equal to 0. So it will continue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. After 17, when it reaches 17, 16 plus 1, 17. So 17 by 17, 17 divided by 17 is, the remainder is 0. So it prints break. That's what is printed here. And just the kind of statement is just broken. The break statement will stop the loop. And it came outside the loop, that is print done. So here I will show you I am outside the loop, and here you can see the outside of the loop break. After the break, outside, I'm outside the loop and it's done.